5 main ways that people make themselves really, really miserable and how you can sort of break out of it. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. We're going to talk about something that's really important. Again, we always talk about important stuff. Obviously, we're going to talk. I wouldn't be making these videos if they weren't important. So while I want to help people be the best students that they can and share productivity tips and being more effective with time and stuff, a lot of people are already doing that on YouTube. And I think what is really lacking is people genuinely talking about being actual humans and taking care of ourselves. And it sounds like a strange thing to say, but a lot of people think they're robots. It's a very unconscious thing and you have to be more aware of it. But a lot of people expect themselves to work like robots at high efficiency throughout, and this whole productivity mania that's been going on, it's just driving a very, very toxic productivity culture and this expectation that we put on ourselves to be superhumanly productive, and it's just not the reality. It's not true. I know a lot of people on YouTube show themselves to be these crazy productive maniacs, I'm going to call them. But you have to put this in context, guys. Everything you see on social media is just the top 1% of the best moments of their lives, you know? They are showing you their most productive days, just like all the Instagrammers are showing you their best life, their best version, their most luxurious holidays. They're not showing you the frustrating aspects and they're not showing you the complete picture. So even when you're seeing these productivity gurus and these YouTubers, make sure you put that in perspective. What you're seeing is not the full picture, okay? So I think with this long-winded introduction, I'm actually gonna talk about the 5 ways to not be miserable as a PhD student. But honestly, it can apply if you're a student, an undergrad, or if you're just working, if you're doing internships, everything. You know, I think it's just how not to be miserable as a working professional, to be honest. I've been thinking about this topic quite a lot and I've been researching it, applying it in my life, and it's helped, and I want to give you guys the clearer and the full picture. In my time here at Oxford, I've spoken to so many PhD students. I've socialized quite crazily and heavily in the past couple of years, and I've noticed these sort of 5 main ways that people make themselves really, really miserable, and I'll talk about how you can sort of break out of it. And I want to begin by saying that happiness is actually, it is a state that's created. It does require hard work to try and understand what makes you happy and to allow yourself to do those things without worrying about whether that is cool or that is accepted in society as a way to be happy. For example, introverts, I know they beat themselves up because they feel so happy when they're alone, but society tells them, why are you being a hermit? Why are you being introverted? You should be out, you're wasting your life, you need to meet people. But what if being introverted and really enjoying your own company is what makes you happy? Do it, you know? So really just think about what makes you happy and don't be afraid to do those things and don't fear being judged, you know? The other thing you need to think about is your thought patterns and what are the ways in which you are subconsciously making yourself quite miserable. There are certain thought patterns that you must have, that you need to identify. Maybe even speak to a counselor or a therapist. You know, they are very good and they're trained to identify these sort of negative thought patterns, and they will challenge you in a way where it will break that link. So actually, you know, therapy is really good at really just understanding how your mind works and what the source or the cause of certain strong emotions is. So one of the ways I have seen a lot of people make their lives miserable, especially here at Oxford, is developing what is called the imposter syndrome. And a lot of people are familiar with it, but if you're not, it's basically when you feel that you are not good enough to be here, and the fact that you are here must have been some kind of mistake, and you probably succeeded in fooling people, and one day or another you're gonna get found out and everything will be revealed that you're actually not as smart, you're actually not as talented, you don't have these skills, and you'll get caught out. So it's this like perpetual fear of, being discovered as this imposter. I've noticed also in Oxford, and it can be used as a way to break imposter syndrome, is that a lot of people are very stupid. A lot of very smart people can also be very stupid at times. I remember reading a book once, it was called Why Smart People Can Be So Stupid or something like that. I'll try and find it and link it. So I paid more attention and I realized that people who acted like they knew everything about everything, in fact, knew very little about many things. It also helped when I noticed how even professors were not afraid to admit that they don't know something. And when they don't know everything, how can you be expected to know everything? And you're not. And I write here that as a result of feeling like an imposter, we speak up less, so people assume even less of us, and they treat us as lesser than, which then becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I remember reading this quote, it's quite accurate. It's, I am not who I think I am. I am not who you think I am who I think you think I am, So when you expect people to think that you're dumb, you start acting in ways that then appears that way. But if you allow yourself to say stupid things like others at times without taking it to mean that you are stupid, you can be very smart and still do stupid things, then that makes it easier to break out of this imposter syndrome, because then you just take it as a fact. Yeah, I will say stupid things at times, and that's fine because everyone will, even the smartest of people. And it doesn't mean you're dumb, it just means you're human. And B, that also allows you to speak up more, and so you will have great ideas, you will have great things to share. And I think people in general just perceive people who have more input, whether it's stupid ideas or stupid suggestions, people do perceive these kinds of individuals as more knowledgeable or more talented just because they're actually speaking, they're giving some sort of input into the discussion, so people will realize that you actually do have stuff to contribute, and so that sort of slowly helps in overcoming the imposter syndrome. So in a nutshell, it's really about realizing that even the most talented individuals can make very stupid mistakes at times. Even professors don't know everything. The fact that you make stupid comments at times doesn't mean that you are stupid. And so all of these can really help to overcome this. Okay, number 2 of the type of people that I've seen being really miserable is people that compare themselves to others. And how many times have we been told not to compare yourself, it doesn't make sense, apples, oranges, everyone has different experiences, different backgrounds. You cannot compare two people. It's like comparing apples and oranges, blah, blah, blah. It's common knowledge, but why do we keep doing it? I don't know. I do not know. And it is true, comparison is the thief of all joy. And I remember one of the most crucial things that my mom ever taught me, and this was way back when I was doing my A-levels in sort of 2012, 2013, and she said to me, don't compare yourself to others. That's just, there is no point. Your competition is not with anyone else, but your competition is just with yourself. If you're better today than you were yesterday, then that's all that matters. And that is the philosophy I have lived by every single day since 2012, and boy, has it made my life way less miserable. Now, in 2021, actually, I would say it is also okay to be it is also okay to compare yourself to yourself and realize that you're not measuring up to what you were, and maybe you were not better today, and today you're actually worse than yesterday. That's also fine, right? It's okay. It's really okay. How else can I put it? It has to be a very conscious decision of, no, I'm not gonna compare myself to this person. Am I better today than I was yesterday? Did I learn from my mistakes? Did I grow? Did I develop? Did I think deeply? Did I understand something new? Did I enjoy today? And that's the only yardstick that I'm gonna measure myself against. Also think about why you embarked on this journey. You did this for certain reasons, and you need to be very clear about those reasons. Your goal was never to be better than anyone else, and you didn't start a PhD because you wanted to publish the most or be the best. You started because you enjoyed research, or you were curious, or you wanted to study a topic in more depth, or you wanted to contribute to academic knowledge. So why judge yourself? And why judge your progress by comparing yourself to what others are achieving? As long as you're still doing the things that you wanted to when you began and that you aimed to, then that's what matters, right? Everyone else's achievements are irrelevant. I hope that makes sense, because if you really get this bit, and if you really internalize this, then you realize that no matter what anybody else does, it doesn't really affect you. And there is no competition with others. Other people's achievements don't matter. Even your own achievements don't matter. They're great, but even if you didn't have them, you'd still be fulfilling the purpose with which you started out. But yeah, and then also what I've seen in PhD students, right? They don't just compare themselves to other PhD students, they'll compare themselves to postdocs in their labs or professors. But obviously they have more experience. They will be more productive. They will maybe make less stupid mistakes. Their experiments will fail less, etc. But you can't be feeling miserable about it because you're a PhD student. And I know it's great. Everyone wishes they were as productive as a postdoc, and but they're at a different stage of life. At least if you're going to compare yourself, maybe compare yourself to at least the people in your category, But yeah, just cut it out. Okay, I'm sorry if I'm being rude, or if this sort of like offends someone. I'm just very passionate about this. Just don't compare yourself to others. You're making yourself miserable, and you are sucking the joy out of your life, and you're failing to realize how amazing you actually are, and how great you are in certain things, and better than other people in some things, and other people are better at other things. It's just the way of life. But you gotta understand your strong points and just the kind of person you are, and just be really grounded and happy that you are pretty awesome. You just have to know what it is that makes you awesome, and stop comparing yourself to others. I'm having this apple and cinnamon tea actually from Pakistan. It's so good. It's by Tipal, and I can't find it here, and every time someone comes from Pakistan I ask them to bring me some. So number 3 is build a positive and a strong relation with your supervisor. And, some people say that half of your PhD is what you do, and the rest of it is how you interact with your supervisor, because they can make your life incredible or miserable, your research life. And I think everyone really needs to develop a solid working relationship with their supervisor based on communication, honesty, trust. And if you don't have these things, it's quite easy to be miserable in that situation. And I've met a lot of PhD students who don't have that, and they're sort of scared from their supervisor. And that doesn't make sense to me, because we need to remember that supervisors are not there to make you feel stupid or to trip you up or anything like that. They're genuinely there to help you and guide you and mentor you. And, you know, your success is one of their priorities because it does reflect on how well they supervised, and it affects their career, actually, you know. How good they are as a supervisor is determined by how well you do. So you really have to learn to be honest with your supervisor and tell them if you feel like you need more guidance or more support. I have gone to my supervisor if I feel down about my work and just not confident and I'm just second guessing myself. I do go to him and I tell him honestly that this is how I'm feeling, and I'm very lucky in that he's very supportive and he knows just the kinds of things to say to put my perspective in a positive light and show me the good aspects of what I've done and highlight my achievements so that I can, you know, come out feeling more confident and better. And if you don't have that, then, you know, find these people around you, find these mentors and these supporters who really will encourage you and who have your best interest in mind. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the camera. I totally forgot. Sometimes I do that when I'm just talking and I lose myself in the conversation. Number 4 is something that we talked about in the beginning of this video, which was stop expecting yourself to work like a machine. And sorry, I'm getting really passionate again because a lot of PhD students think that their minds need to be switched on all the time. They just need to be working all the time. There is no end to their day or their tasks. And you have to realize that firstly, whenever you're making a task list for the day, just automatically, just without even thinking, cut the last half of it off, right? You will only really achieve half of what you expect to do, and that too if you're lucky. So what I've been doing lately is just have one thing on my to-do list. Literally, it's just like, this is the major task for today, I'm just going to do this, and if I do this, it's a success. And it makes my life so much easier, it reduces so much anxiety, and yeah, it's just, you're just being more realistic. I was so lucky in that the 2 people who were my supervisor, actually my current supervisor as well, but my first 2 projects, the postdocs that were supervising me were literally the most chill and laid back people. And it set such a good example, and they were both women, both strong, amazing women. And you know, one of them told me how she can really only productively work about 3 days a week, and she doesn't expect much more of herself. And since that's enough for her to publish and find a competitive postdoc. And the other one, who is an experimentalist, she would do all the experiments so calmly. She would take like a whole week to do something that could be rushed and done in 2 days. And she would never have multiple things running. And, you know, in that sort of slow calmness, she was more in the moment, and she could actually prevent mistakes from happening that way, which happen often when we're rushing or multitasking and doing so many things at once. And so I was like, whoa, these are role models, you know, I'm gonna take a chill pill and I'm just gonna relax. And there's this other concept of that's being talked about and Cal Newport. So Cal Newport, he writes a lot on productivity, but he is starting to question his own opinions and stuff that he's written about in previous years. And one of the latest things that he's been talking about is this thing of slow productivity. And if you look at people who achieved a lot in their lives and you study their lives in a lot of detail, their daily productivity was pretty low, and they, you know, even over months, they wouldn't really achieve much, but over a lifetime, they were slowly able to achieve just incredible things by just being consistent. And this idea of slow productivity, which makes us sort of zoom out and look at the bigger picture and what you've achieved in a year or 2 years or 3 years or 10 years, that I really resonate with, because, you know, this sort of daily checklist and daily blah 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 robotic sort of thinking, that doesn't go well with me, and I refuse to live like that. I refuse to box myself in a routine and be what do you call it? Shackled by a checklist, I will call this. Ooh, I want to patent this. I quite like this term. Also, Cal Newport, I've mentioned in this article, he wrote about this like 4-hour work day where you can really only productively work for 4 hours a day. And my entire undergraduate, I literally only studied 4 hours a day, but I would set a timer and I would not be distracted in those 4 hours, and I would do 30 or 40-minute chunks, then I'd take a break, or a very long break sometimes of hours, and then I'd come back, I'd do 40 more minutes, blah, blah. And all in the whole day, I would literally just do 4 hours, and that ended up with me getting basically A's in, I think, all my courses during my undergrad. So that is enough, guys. That is literally enough. Those 8-hour work days. Study with me for 10, 12 hours. Guys, no, you're not being productive. Seriously. You're just draining your brain. You're sucking the soul out of everything. It's not fun. It's not healthy, and not physically, not mentally, not emotionally. It's a very destructive habit, these long study days. It's good to do maybe once or twice a month or a year, very rarely. But if you're regularly working like that, please don't. I think it's quite dangerous. And then if you do set this in your mind, like, okay, I'm only going to work 4 hours in the day, then when you've done those 4 hours, you've got the whole day to enjoy, and you don't feel guilty about it, because you're like, okay, this is the upper limit of my brain and what it can handle, so I'm just gonna relax. And then you do, and you will realize how you're actually being so much more productive when you rid yourself of this guilt of needing to work all the time. And also just being more positive and happy in general does wonders to your productivity. Okay, number 5, that brings me to my last point, and it sort of relates to my last video on burnout, which is learn to switch off and, just seriously take a break and spend a good long chunk of time every day to switch off and recharge. And because for your brain to actually work properly and to synthesize information and to store information and to get ideas and to do stuff, it needs a rest and it needs a break. And if you don't let your brain rest, it will just constantly be tired and it will rebel against you and it will refuse to do the work that you want it to do. So please give it a rest, give it a recharge. Everything in the world needs recharging. So does your brain. And I would say the best breaks are those where you just immerse yourself in some activity and in something so different that you completely forget about your work for a while. So, for example, doing sport really helps, seeing friends where you're not talking about work, and just having some sort of experience. I think going out to nature really, really helps take your mind off. And again, it has to be conscious. You kind of have to be strict whenever you do end up thinking about work and your brain sort of drifts. Catch yourself, be aware, and tell yourself that you're going to block it out, guilt-free, until it will become natural for you to do so. And you might even find yourself being more excited about work the next day when you've actively blocked it out, because it gives you a chance to sort of miss work when you're away from it. So yeah, I hope that sort of helps. It's a lot of really understanding your thought patterns and a lot of psychology and engineering your brain a little bit. But I hope this was useful, and these really are the 5 main ways that I've seen PhD students around me make themselves really miserable. And if you can, possibly apply these to your life, you will definitely be less miserable. So yeah, I hope this video helped, and let me know in the comments below what you thought of it. And I will talk about this topic more often. It's just so important, really, to talk about. And I'll make more self-care videos when we'll also talk about productivity and obviously education stuff. And I mean, there's lots in store on this channel. So do subscribe if you liked this video, and I'll see you in another one. Bye. Take care of yourselves and switch off right now.